all human beings, some of us are rich, some of us are poor, some of us are healthy, some of us are sick, some of us are strong and others are weak. Some have better opportunity, some have less opportunity, some are free and some are caged. Human beings find themselves in any variety of circumstances. But the statement that Allah has made is that every one of us is in loss. Doesn't matter what state we're in loss. That's the common denominator between all of us. Whether the one who looks apparently happy or healthy or wealthy or prosperous, or the one who looks miserable, it doesn't matter. Allah has made a unanimous declaration, all of you are losing. All of you are actually not just losing, you are in loss already. You're drowning in loss already. And that helps me appreciate what the previous ayah was. The biggest proof that all of us are in a continuous state of loss is time itself. Because that's one thing you and I can never gain more of. That is one thing we're always going to be losing. Today will never come back. Maghrib will never come back. The moments that we've passed away, hayatuka anfas, your life is nothing but inhales and exhales, that's all they are. That inhale that went in and the exhale that went out is not coming back. These are moments of our life that have gone and will never return. It doesn't matter whether you're sick or healthy or poor or wealthy, what part of the world you live in, there's one loss that is unavoidable, and that is of time. And that loss, as days go by, is taking a toll on you. In the sense of physics, which is kind of creepy. I was talking to a friend who's a physics major. Through the laws of entropy and all of that, the universe is constantly expanding. And by implication, it's actually constantly breaking apart. Everything is tearing apart. Everything is breaking. And people that have a purely scientific worldview become very, basically they have this annihilist kind of sense of the world. Things are going to end anyway. It's all going to be over. The universe is just going to collapse. Everything's falling apart. Everything around us is actually breaking apart. Slowly but surely, the decay and loss is the reality of the entire physical universe around us. As a matter of fact, the human body, we're constantly losing cells. Dead skin is falling off, hair is falling off, whether we realize it or not. We're constantly losing physically also. Even Allah mentions not only a reference to what happens in the grave, قَدْ عَلِمْنَا مَا تَنْقُصُ الْأَرْضُ مِنْهُمْ وَعِنْدَنَا كِتَابٌ حَفِيظٌ. We already know what the earth keeps taking away from them. And we have a book that guards everything. Even though you're being decayed away, even as you're alive, there's decay happening. But even after you die, your body is going through decay inside the grave. And Allah says, regardless, what needed to be preserved will always stay preserved. وَعِنْدَنَا كِتَابٌ حَفِيظٌ. But this is the notion of loss that I wanted to start off with, that time is the ultimate loss that cannot be escaped for any of us. Now I want to talk to you about the word choice for loss in this ayah, and that's the word khusr. It's a common word in the Quran. It's used many, many times. It's used to describe, for example, al-khasirun, the losers, ulaika humul khasirun, occurs in the Quran. Alladhina khasiru, those who lost. Khasiru dunya wal akhirah, Quran says they lost this life and in the next, they lost both. So the common word actually in the Quran for loss is this word, or the origin of this word, khusr. As for the word loss itself, not as verbs and other forms, the noun itself, khusr, is used in three forms in the Quran. You find khusr and you find khasara. وَلَمْ يَزِدْهُ مَالُهُ وَوَلَدُهُ إِلَّا خَسَارًا. Or you find khusran, خَسِرَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ ذَلِكَ هُوَ الْخُسْرَانُ الْمُبِينُ. So you find three versions of the word loss, and there's subtle differences between them. Khusran is used for the worst possible loss, that's al-mubalagha, that's not used here. The khasara is used when you're already in a state of loss and it gets worse. That's why typically it comes with ziyada in the Quran. لَمْ يَزِدْهُ مَالُهُ وَوَلَدُهُ إِلَّا خَسَارًا. They were already losing, and then more loss on top of the loss they already had. Things got even worse. That's khasar. We don't recite innal insana lafi khusran, nor do we recite innal insana lafi khasar. We recite innal insana lafi khusr. The word khusr is the base notion of loss. And what Allah is saying is, by using that word, that there are degrees of loss. That some people are losing a lot, some people are losing a little, some people are losing insignificant amounts, some people are losing terrible amounts. And by the way, just to put things in relative order, like, somebody who loses $1 and is a millionaire may not, oh, was that mine? Oh, I didn't really realize. And it's not a big deal for them. But somebody else who has barely any money loses $1, and that's a huge deal for them. So it could look like the same loss, but it's not felt the same way. It's not felt by people the same way. There are degrees in which we feel or feel the pinch of loss, right? So Allah is making a comment that whoever you are, whether you realize it or not, at some level you are experiencing loss. Of course, the ultimate loss being time itself, but it's not limited to that. How do we know it's not limited to that? Well, we know that because Allah used the word khusrin. The in at the end, the tanween, creates ta'meem. All kinds of loss. It could mean great loss, and it can also mean all kinds of loss.